Kicked out on my birthday. How karma came back around. On my 18th birthday, I was supposed to celebrate stepping into adulthood, but instead, I found myself on the sidewalk with nothing but a suitcase. My parents had been threatening to kick me out for months, but I never thought they'd actually do it, especially not on my birthday. But as the door slammed shut behind me, I knew I was on my own. Little did they know, karma was about to come knocking on their door. Growing up, I was never close with my parents. They were strict, cold, and seemed more interested in controlling my life than in actually being a part of it. For years, they'd threatened to kick me out if I didn't follow their rules to the letter. But I always thought it was just that, an empty threat. So, when my 18th birthday rolled around, I expected the usual cold dinner, maybe a forced, happy birthday, and then a night alone in my room. Instead, I came home to find my things packed up and waiting by the door. "We've done enough," my dad said, not meeting my eyes. "You're an adult now. It's time you learned how to take care of yourself." I stared at them in shock, waiting for the punchline. But it never came. My mom stood silently beside him, arms crossed, a look of cold resolve on her face. There was no cake, no presents, just a one-way ticket out of their lives. With nowhere to go and only a few dollars in my pocket, I spent the next few weeks crashing on friends' couches, eating whatever I could scrape together, and wondering how my life had fallen apart so quickly. But the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. How could my own parents do this to me? On my birthday, no less. Then, as if fate had intervened, I got a call from an aunt I barely knew. She had heard about what happened and offered to let me stay with her while I got back on my feet. It wasn't much, but it was more than my parents had done. I accepted her offer, determined to prove to everyone that I could make it on my own. I got a job, enrolled in community college, and started rebuilding my life from the ground up. It wasn't easy, but with each passing day, I felt myself growing stronger, more independent. The pain of my parents' betrayal was still there, but it no longer defined me. Instead, it fueled my drive to succeed. Several years later, my life had turned around completely. I had a stable job, my own apartment, and a supportive circle of friends who had become like family. I had even started my own small business, something I had always dreamed of but never thought possible. Then one day, out of the blue, I got a call from my mom. Her voice was strained, almost unrecognizable. "We need to talk," she said, and I could tell something was wrong. Curious but wary, I agreed to meet them. When I arrived at their house, it was clear that things had changed. The once pristine home was now in disarray, and both of them looked worn and defeated. "We've fallen on hard times," my dad admitted, his voice lacking the usual arrogance. "Your mom lost her job, and well, things haven't been easy." It turned out that after they kicked me out, life hadn't been as smooth as they'd expected. My dad's business had taken a nosedive, and with the added stress, their health had begun to decline. They were struggling to pay bills, and the house was on the verge of foreclosure. "We were wrong to kick you out like that," my mom confessed, tears in her eyes. "We were scared, and we took it out on you. But now, we need your help." I sat there, letting their words sink in. Part of me wanted to walk out and leave them to deal with the mess they'd created. But another part of me, the part that had grown and matured through those tough years, knew that I couldn't do that. Not because I owed them anything, but because I wasn't the same person they had kicked out all those years ago. "I'll help you," I finally said, "but things are going to be different from now on. We'll work together, but you need to understand that I'm not a kid anymore. I deserve respect." They nodded, their faces a mixture of relief and regret. Karma had come full circle, but instead of gloating, I chose to extend the kindness that they had once denied me. We worked together to get them back on their feet, and in doing so, we slowly began to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't easy, and there were plenty of tough moments along the way. But as we sat down to dinner one night, I realized that something had changed. For the first time, we were talking, really talking, as a family. And in that moment, I knew that I had finally found something more valuable than any birthday present: the power to forgive and move forward.